Hello and welcome to the virtual side event by Think Tank AlterContacts, NGO in Special Consultative Status with Economic and Social Council. It is held as a part of side events to Commission for Social Development that is currently in session at the United Nations in New York. The topic we will be exploring today is Beyond GDP, the voice of youth in advancing social development. So, without further ado, my name is Yulia Skupchenko. I'm the co-founder of Think Tank AlterContacts, and I will be with you, your event host for today. And I think just a few words about the topic. As you know, there is an urgent need to develop ways to measure progress that go beyond gross domestic product, GDP, because it overlooks many aspects that sustain life and human well-being. So in this event, we want to understand what truly matters to you, how you define the progress in your lives, communities, countries, and the world. We're going to do our best to ask you what you think, to open this event with a few words about the role of youth. I would like to give the floor to Bora Mujaki, a member of the Albanian Parliament and a former Minister of State for Youth and Children. Please, Bora.
Thank you so much for this very kind welcome. And good evening, everyone, or good morning, depending on wherever you are. And thank you for having me. I'm so grateful to be joining you for this very important conversation. And I would like to start with a line that I genuinely believe that perhaps might make some economists roll their eyes, especially coming from an economist and an auditor like me. I strongly believe that GDP is a useful number, but it's an incomplete truth. It can tell us how much we produce, but not whether people feel secure. It can tell us how fast we can grow, but not whether young people can imagine a future that can grow. It can count transactions, but it cannot count trust. And in 2026, trust is not a side issue. Trust is the true foundation of social development. And when young people look at the world today, many of them don't really ask, is the economy growing? What they ask is my life getting better? Will I find decent work, or will it be just an endless short-term uncertainty? Will I afford housing? Will my education translate to opportunity? Will I be heard or managed? And this is why this topic matters, because what we measure becomes what we manage. If we measure only economic output, institutions will optimize for output. But if we measure well-being, equality, resilience, participation, and dignity, then we can start building societies that can grow and hold together. Now, why is youth voice essential to advancing social development beyond GDP? Because young people, in my opinion, and I believe strongly in everybody's that's here today's opinion, they're not just beneficiaries of policies. They're the first generation to actually feel the future arriving. And they are the ones that experience the hidden costs that GDP does not capture, be it the cost of anxiety and loneliness, the cost of unstable work and delayed independence, the cost of exclusion when background decides chances, and the cost of climate stress when tomorrow feels more fragile than it was promised. So when youth speak, it's not nice to have. It is data. It is the lived evidence of whether development is real. But I want to be very direct. I don't believe that youth engagement can be reduced to a panel, to a photo, to a consultation that ends when the report is published. Young people can detect tokenism faster than institutions can write it. So if we really want youth voice to genuinely shape progress beyond GDP, then we need 3 shifts. I'm going to try and give you a little bit of my perspective from the time I was a Minister of Youth. And the first one is to go from consultation to co-creation. So not tell them to tell us their ideas, but help design the solutions. And what this means is involving young people early. So practically I was talking about the trade-offs, or more likely the 3 shifts that we need. The first one is from consultation to co-creation. And to give a specific example of that, of what we've done in Albania, is the Albanian National Youth Strategy, where we co-created with young people, but not just actually told them about the issues and the problems that they have, but also we talked about solutions that young people themselves proposed. And this was actually very gratefully received as a successful example by the ECOSOC Committee of the European Union Parliament as an example of how strategies should be actually built. And the second shift that I would like to mention is that from access to influence. Sometimes it feels like a seat at the table is power, but the truth is that a seat at the table is not power if the agenda is already fixed. Real influence means clear pathways for young recommendations to become decisions, to become budgets and implementation. And to clarify that with an example from Albania again, what we've done here is we've actually built local youth councils in every municipality and a national youth council that doesn't just get a seat at the table, but they get to discuss and decide about budgets and how budgets are invested for young people in municipalities as well as at national level. Third is to go from projects to systems, because youth projects are important, but the goal here is systemic change, which means better school to work pathways, stronger local services, better mental health access, and institutions that act with integrity. And I think here is where the hardest part lies, because it requires a whole of society concept of working. And I can give here a few examples, but I think we still have work to do here. One example I would give is the youth guarantee that actually guarantees every young person to get a job within 4 months, or to get a training, or to get an opportunity to spend their knowledge. And we're already starting this in Albania now, which is hopefully going to be a good example of how to introduce young people in the work sector in a meaningful way. And the second one I would like to add here is the friendly youth services that we're giving through youth centers and youth workers. So all in all, what does Beyond GDP look like in practice? It means building a measurement system that actually reflects real life. Starting from capabilities, are young people gaining skills for the economy that is coming? So digital, green, entrepreneurial, human skills. And it goes to mobility. Can they move from education into decent work, not just any job? And it goes to security. Do they have healthcare, mental health support, and safe communities? And last but not least, voice and trust. Do they believe institutions listen? And can they shape decisions meaningfully? Because social development is not only about raising averages, it's about widening the breach so that more people can cross into opportunity. And now, since I promised something inspirational, let me end with this. There is a quiet moment in every generation when young people decide one of two things. Either this country, this system, this society is mine and I'll shape it, or this is not for me and I will disengage, I will leave or give up. Our job, whether we work in government, the UN, civil society, academia, or the private sector, is to make that first choice rational again. To make hope a strategy and not a slogan. To make participation a mechanism and not a mere Instagram ceremony. To make progress felt, not just a checklist item. A society is not fully successful when GDP grows. A society is successful when a young person can build a life without leaving their dignity behind. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to listen to the rest of the debates.
Thank you very much, Bora. This was truly inspirational. Actually, there was no better way to start this workshop, this event, this panel, than with the words that you shared, with really the words of wisdom, because when we met in Albania and you were talking about different programs you do with the youth of Albania, really going from school to school, asking them, taking criticism and taking their ideas on board. It was really like a breath of fresh air. It was something that I have not seen before, and I'm very grateful and honored that you can join us today and that we could share also that vision with our participants. So to put the words to practice, I think we're going to start directly with the first interactive exercise with the audience, and I think it's time to put Mentimeter on screen. Everybody, please follow the link that was posted in the chat, or you can scan the QR code, or you can go to Menticom and copy the code. Many different ways. My personal favorite is to just click on the link from the chat. it will open a window separate from the Zoom meeting where you can answer the question that will come up in a moment. So let's wait for just a second to let everybody join. So once again, for anybody who just joined, please click on the link in the chat, join the Mentimeter, because that's where we're gonna try to hear your opinion today in the moment. All right, hopefully we have enough participants now already there. If somebody didn't have a chance to join, please, again, click on the link and Massimo, maybe we can start with the first question. It's a very simple question. Let's see what age groups are represented today. I see already participating, the participants are contributing. Whenever we have more answers for any of the numbers, then the number will start growing bigger. In the meantime, maybe I'll ask our speakers to share what is their age, if they don't mind. So my current age is 35. Bora, maybe you can tell us how old you are, if you don't mind, of course.
No, not at all. 35.
Thank you. Hala?
33.
Wonderful. Sophia?
29.
29. And Dana?
I'm 25.
25. I would like to draw your attention, dear participants, that we have today a full female panel, and everybody is less than 40. So that is also part of the youth representation. I can see the numbers are appearing. How many voted? So we have 89 people who shared their age. Wonderful. So majority is actually between 18 and 30, which is the traditional understanding of what youth is. But in reality, youth is just a spirit. It's in our hearts. Okay, we can let it continue for a moment to collect more opinions and more ages. And I will just slowly start drifting into the next topic, the next speaker, actually. I think 94 out of 112 answers is very good. I see 20, 21, and 22 really large on the screen. Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing. Do not close Mentimeter, participants. And for Massimo, I think, yes, please do close Mentimeter. Dana, I would like to give a floor to you. Dana is a Romanian youth activist. She co-authored the Bucharest EU Children Declaration and was awarded with the European Charlemagne Youth Prize. And just a small note before we go to Dana is that the full bio and the link to LinkedIn profile is in the chat as the speakers appear. So feel free to send them a message or connect or read more about them, actually. Please, Dana, I'll give the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Julia, and thank you very much for the invitation to be able to speak with so many young people from all around the world. I will start by saying that, as Julia mentioned, I am a youth representative at the moment in the European Sustainable Development Network. So we're working with the SDGs. But when I was 18 and actually 17, 18 years old, I was a child youth representative with UNICEF Romania. And it's very important what we managed to do at the age of 16, 17, because we wrote the first document of its kind in the world, asking for the international leaders, European leaders, national leaders, and local leaders to make child participation and youth participation a reality and a priority. And this is one of the biggest examples I have for how the voice of youth can actually advance social development at every single levels, because we were really tired of hearing everywhere since a very young age that young people and children are going to be the future. And that's why we're all working, and that's why we're having the SDGs, and that's why we're having UNICEF and all these committees to advance this sustainable future for young people. But the fact that we were forgetting is that children, we young people from all around the world, are also the present. And that's why we made this declaration that we presented in front of the European leaders and in front of UNICEF, asking for all leaders to actually make a consultation with children and with young people. And we were based on the Article 12 from the UN Convention on Children's Rights that is actually stating, and I think all of the member states that are part of the United Nations adopted this convention into their national legislations. So they have the legal obligation to actually put in practice the article to be heard. This Article 12, that states that all children and young people have the right and the guarantee to express their views freely in all matters affecting them, and their opinions must be given due weight based on their age and maturity. And this right applies to all, including judicial matters, administrative matters, familiar levels, and also educational levels. And this initiative that I'm talking about was created by the Children's Board of Romania, that was supported by UNICEF Romania, who gathered young people and children from all the country. And we drafted this declaration and we presented it in front of national leaders and European leaders. And it's very special because our Children's Board was compounded from a very diverse also social background and family background from the children. We also have had children from the protection system with different ethnic origins and a very wide range of experience in representation of children's rights and youth rights. And at the end of 6 months, we managed to make this declaration and publish it everywhere around the world. You can also find it, and I really encourage you to look for it and use it in your future work if you want, because this involvement of youth and children in the decision making, it's actually based on legal principles. We actually have this right in the UN Convention. Fast forward to tell you before we go to our discussion, and maybe you can ask your questions, is that what motivated all of us to do this, and we actually succeeded to draw attention and have a real consequence, is that we drafted this declaration in 2019. And we saw that with the help of UNICEF Romania, of course, who actually pushed us forward to also to Brussels and to our national parliament, we actually started to put on the agenda of the decision makers youth participation, children's participation. And we saw that gradually also at the European level, because we went at the summit and we talked with party leaders from the European Parliament, even though we were children, and we were urging them and asking them to consult us and involve us in our future, basically, whether it's educational matters, whether it's family matters. Exactly also how Bora mentioned that they implemented these youth councils in Albania. And we actually saw that we had an echo at the European level, and the European Parliament also started to talk about youth involvement and actually prepare consultations with young people and with children, because mainly our declaration and our movement was also to involve children and actually hear their needs, their dreams, and what they are asking for in order to grow in a social, equitable, and sustainable world. And at the national level, for example, Romania also created this youth councils that are at the local level, which I can tell you that are the most how to say it, you can see the real consequences.
If I may just interrupt you really quickly, Dana, sorry. It is all extremely inspiring and interesting. Maybe we keep some of it for the Q&A for later in the session, so that we can not stray away too much from agenda.
Sure.
But I would like to thank Dana for the words of really inspiration in terms of how a young person can take action. So what Bora said was about how can we bring the voices of youth into political systems and let it shape it. And what Dana shared with us is her personal journey of how she decided that she's not going to wait for anybody to ask her opinion. She's just going to tell, and she activated a large number of people to help with that. And it's extremely admirable. Both examples are wonderful, and I'm so grateful that you're here. We have a wonderful panel today, and I think from politics to activism, now we're going to go to research. And Sophia, let me introduce you properly. I would like to invite Sophia Beiter, a research associate at the Institute for the Danube Region and Central Europe in Vienna. Please share with us also a short opening statement on the topic.
Yeah, thank you very much also for the opportunity to be here. Yeah, I want to share a little bit my experience as a researcher, and also this will reflect a bit what also already Bora said in her very inspiring speech. I'm working a lot on EU democracy and EU reform, EU enlargement, and also citizen participation. And what I observe is a pattern often that policymakers and also different experts and researchers, they often use citizen-related arguments or supposedly opinions of citizens without really consulting citizens. So I can maybe give a very brief example. I worked on EU elections and on ways to reform EU elections. There are different ideas, transnational lists, the lead candidate system, to make the elections more democratic and more European, and there are proponents and opponents of that. And both proponents and opponents, they both often use citizen-related arguments. The proponents say these reforms will make citizens more engaged, more people will vote in the elections, and the opponents say no, these reforms will make the elections even more complicated and even less people will vote. And I try to find the opinions of citizens. I try to find surveys or any other consultations or councils that citizens where citizens said their opinions on that, and I didn't find anything. And so this I have encountered now a few times already that researchers also often they assume what citizens think, but they don't really consult them. And so I think this is also when we talk about Beyond GDP, it's not only about the additional indicators that are important, but it's really about who defines what is progress, and it's about changing this power relation kind of and that's why also this event and such events are very important, and I'm very happy to be part of this.
Thank you very much, Sophia. I really love how you can comprise a gigantic amount of research into just 2 minutes. It has impressed me also when we were speaking both in Albania at the youth conference there. And I think what you mentioned about politicians referring to the citizen opinion without actually consulting with it is quite common, unfortunately. Luckily for us, we have examples like Bora, who actually go to the field and talk to the youth, talk to the children and young adults, and find out what they actually think, take note of it, and bring it into the parliament. So thank you very much, Sophia. We are going to, before we go to our final panelist, we're going to do a little interactivity again. So Massimo, if we can please bring Mentimeter on the screen. And yes, where do you live? And if we could please have the link in the chat as well to join Mentimeter. because we had some new people joining the room. So while we are collecting, yes, thank you very much for the link in the chat. I see a lot of countries coming in. That's very exciting. It's always nice to see the cloud populating. In the meantime, I can say where Think Tank AlterContacts is from. It's from the Netherlands. So we are in the Netherlands. And Hala, you are next on my screen. Where are you based?
So I'm currently in the UAE, but I'm Lebanese.
United Arab Emirates.
Yes,
from
United
Lebanon.
Arab Emirates.
Wonderful. Sophia, where are you based?
I'm in Vienna, in Austria.
Wonderful. And Bora, well, we all know it's Albania, but maybe not, maybe yes.
Yeah, Albania. It hasn't changed.
Okay, wonderful. And Dana?
Currently, I'm based in Romania, but just a few months ago, I was in Brussels. And before that, I was in Germany. But Romania mostly.
Thank you very much. I see somebody even submitted a flag. That is an impressive achievement. How did you manage to type a flag into this? I'm commenting on the what I see on the cloud. You have really a diverse and an international crowd in the room. Wonderful. Thank you very much for participating. I think we have, how many participants have responded? Let's see. Almost everybody, let's say. Well, 30 people are still missing, so please continue and send your answers in. And I will just do a short bridge to our final panelist. So we are now moving from the activism and political part and research into a different type of action, which is just as important as everything else, which is the entrepreneurship, and particularly sustainable entrepreneurship, my favorite kind. I'm also a social entrepreneur. I would like to introduce Hala Al-Naamani, the co-founder of Baltic, a social enterprise focused on plastic recycling in the Middle East. Hala, please, floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Julia. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you for having me on today. It's a pleasure to be with everyone. To briefly introduce myself and talk about what we do. So I am a social entrepreneur, and Naveen, my business partner, and I started on the route of plastic recycling. As simple as that might be put into words. And through our process, where we began in Lebanon and the Middle East, this is where we saw a very big gap. Yes, we work in sustainability, but the awareness that was there was very little. And to our surprise, our biggest audience were youth. They just didn't have a platform where they could, let's say, enhance their creativity and really have knowledge, build knowledge on sustainability and waste management. So this is where we wanted to bridge, continue the recycling, our path on plastic recycling, and where we introduced workshops as well that cater to youth, kids, youth, adults. It catered to all the age groups, where we teach them about waste management, about upcycling, and about recycling. And the beautiful thing about this is that it's not only knowledge base, they work with their hands as well. And that really showed so much creativity, so much innovation. And we did multiple case studies with youth where they came back to us with things that we didn't even think about. And we realized that there's no platform, there's no space for them to flourish because policies are not yet intact. Universities don't teach it yet, not as much as they do for all other subjects. And sustainability has become such a broad language, and people are using it not in the right way, unfortunately. So we realized to really tackle that gap, we've done over 40 workshops, more than 100 students, and we're very proud to say that really the Arab region has so much creativity and so much enthusiasm. that they want to grow into that field, but there is just no space. And this is what we've been doing. Naveen and I have been doing this for the last 5 years now. And we're growing and growing. We started in Lebanon, we expanded to the United Arab Emirates, we've stepped into Saudi Arabia, and hopefully it's just a growing field for us. And platforms such as AlterContacts, really, it just helps us to spread that. I'm not going to say knowledge, just the awareness that we are here, we are present, we are on ground, and we are purposely driving to bring more opportunities and keep teaching in that direction.
Thank you very much, Hala. It's beautiful how the social entrepreneurs, they're always driven by their heart, so it's not so much about, what you get out of it, it's so much what you give to the society that you're part of. And I think in all 4 examples that we heard already on the panel, this what comes across, each of the speaker is sharing how they did something for others. And I think that's where the success lies. And maybe the youth participants that we have here today can really gain a lot of inspiration from that for their own actions. And we're gonna actually give you a chance to express what those actions might be, but a bit later. Now comes the super interactive part. So, we already know approximately how diverse is our group in ages and in countries, and now it's time to meet face-to-face. The next activity is the speed networking. So it's kind of networking, but we're not going to take very long time. During 8 minutes, you will be in a breakout room with 2 or 3 other people. The goal is for you to meet each other and share what you think about one single question. That question is, when you think about your life today, what tells you that things are going well or not so well for you? Don't worry, we will copy all the instructions in the chat. I'm sure they're there already. Not only, if you forget the instructions and you need some guidance, we are joined by 60 United Nations volunteers who were trained and onboarded specifically to help us facilitate and guide these breakout rooms. So if you forget what to do, look for a person whose name starts with UNV. And if you don't have that kind of person in your group, don't worry, just send a message to the main hall, to me or to anybody else that says co-host. Okay, and remember, the main goal is for you to meet each other. And if at any moment you feel uncomfortable, feel free to go back to the main room. Now, with that lengthy introduction, I ask my co-founder, Massimo Mercuri, to please assign our participants, except co-hosts, into the breakout rooms. We're going to do a breakout experience here where each can share the answer to the same question. We are still on record, so in the recording, the participants will be able also to see that part. So maybe just to make sure that the timing is right, on the participation, Bora, can we start with you? So I'll repeat the question. When you think about your life today, what tells you that things are going well or not so well for you?
That is an incredibly hard question. I think there are so many different aspects that people think how their life is going. But if I were to talk about myself, I would consider 3 aspects. The first one would be family life. So like if I'm having enough time to spend with my partner, with my parents, with my nephews. So this is the first thing. If I'm managing to actually cope with everything that's happening and also finding time for them, then I know my life is going well. The second one, which unfortunately sometimes takes priority, is my work life. So, and by that I mean I'll always have this goal. So when I was a minister, I had this 8 different goals that I had put to myself. And every single day, when the day was over, I'd check. Like, have I done something for this? Have I done something for this? Have I done something for this? And they were very specific. They weren't about me. They were about the field that I was working on. This continues to be the case now. So I have a list of work-related priorities and I check them. And the third one which shouldn't be third, it's health. So if I'm managing to find enough time to distress, to walk a little bit around, to make sure the food I eat is decent, and to drink enough water during the day. So at least that's my answer. Like these three things: family, work, and health are three priorities for me to know if I'm doing well or not.
Thank you very much, Bora. It's wonderful how close to life it is, I think, for everybody. Thank you very much, Bora. And now, Hala, please share what makes you feel that your life is going well or not so well.
Okay. I think Bora's number 3 was my number 1. I learned it the hard way. But yeah, health. I think I really didn't put it as a focal point for a long time in my life, but I realized when my health is good, I'm getting enough sleep. I'm eating the food that gives my body the nutrients and energy it requires. I'm able to seize the day no matter what comes through it. So I think that's my first. My second means to a successful life is holding on to my values. When I'm striving through life, not allowing external forces hinder the values that I withhold in my life, I feel that that's a successful life I'm carrying. And the third one is definitely family and close friends. When I go about a day or two being very preoccupied with work and not having time just for one phone call, at least, even if it lasts for 30 seconds, if a day goes beyond that, then I know that something is wrong. So it's balancing.
Yeah,
I think those are the three for me.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but yes, indeed, it's funny how both answers are very relatable. And Sophia, maybe you can also share your point of view on when you think about your life today, what tells you that things are going well or not so well.
I mean, I think I can agree with what has been said already. Maybe I can add to that also feeling financially stable, maybe, and also being maybe part of a community, not feeling isolated, something like that. So not only family and friends, but maybe a broader community also contributes to that. Yeah. And I think, yeah, I agree with what have been said, especially family, friends, and also healthcare for sure.
Thank you very much, Sophia. I think indeed, I think indeed the feeling of isolation, especially, and that is a part of discussion that we can have while the people are still in the breakout rooms, which I don't think is for much longer. So what I've noticed is that countries that have higher GDP, so such as Austria, Netherlands, where we are, for example, France, let's say Northern Western Europe, compared to some other countries in Europe, supposedly should be more successful and more happy because their GDP high. But precisely that is why we're having this discussion, because the isolation there is much higher. The type of interactions that people are having, the type of mental health issues that people are having, and things like that. I think any of you would like to speak share a few words on that? So like the GDP versus, the actual feeling of being part of society and having meaning in like your societal life as well as personal.
Hello, Julia. I would like to speak in this topic. So, hello everyone. I am Vivek Kumar. I am from India. As you all know, we have currently surpassed UK and become the 4th highest GDP nation in the entire world. But the main point is here, our per capita income is very low. So an average Indian is still struggling with basic necessities of life. So if we look to the GDP point of view, we are the 4th highest in the world, but as per capita income, we are in very low level. So people are struggling, and we are focusing on development, having basic hospitals and education system, but there is a long way to go. I know the population is beyond 1.5 billion, and that's the very big challenge we are facing today. So I think our government is doing best and looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this for this answer. I really appreciate it. I'm also very grateful to Bora, who was able to join us. Thank you so much for all your inputs into this discussion and opening this event. It was really wonderful. Truly, I couldn't have done it better. So thank you so much, and we will see you at our next event, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bora.
Sorry, I have to leave you. Bye. Have a wonderful continuation.
So for everybody else, we are still here. We continue with the discussion. I'm still here with my three co-panelists. And the next activity is actually very simple. In the chat, could you please write about your experience in a breakout room? We heard things didn't go exactly as planned, which is fine. The technical things almost always let us down. Which is why we have to rely on each other. Okay, so maybe, okay, yes. I was alone in my breakout room. Truly sounds very sad. I'm very sorry for your experience, but thank you for sharing your opinion with us here in the main room. I really appreciate, ability to adapt to changing circumstances is one of the things we all have to know really well in the life that we live. So, Massimo, could you please help us and bring on the screen the next Mentimeter question? Maybe we try to tackle it with us four and the participants. All right. So for people who managed to join the breakout rooms and exchange a few words about what they think about life as it is now, this is the next question. What is your vision of a good life? If you could imagine a good life in a good place to live, what would it look like? And I think you have some extra questions in the Mentimeter. Please take your time and describe what a good vision of a good life for you in a good place to live. Yes. So I see a few words coming up. I think maybe if Hala, Sophia, and Dana could just open the microphone and let's just maybe exchange some opinion about what we see on the screen. And Massimo, if you could remove the second tab so we can see better. Thank you very much. So, impactful work, security, safety, access to nature, and fresh food. Maybe, Sophia, Hala, I see you open the microphone, please.
I agree 100% with that, to be honest.
So is it something also for you?
Yes, definitely.
Impactful work and walks in the nature.
Definitely. Impactful work, yeah, seeing your work translate in reality, not just through words, but to actually making a difference in people's lives.
A job I enjoy doing that has a positive impact on society. That was a really nice one. Sophia, I see you open the microphone as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree with that, definitely. And also, I guess having the choice also to maybe change your work, your job, having this possibility of not being stuck in one place of work.
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting one. A good life to me is where a person feels safe, healthy, valued, supportive relationships. Yes, indeed. And the opportunity to move, maybe not to move jobs necessarily, but to move the variety of activities that a job contains, right? And Dana, what do you think? Did you see any answer that caught your attention?
I actually saw a lot of answers which said, of course, a country without corruption, with a good justice system. And I also just saw now one that was saying a good life would be if I would have a life better than my parents and have the choice and possibility to have the necessities to reach my full potential, which in my opinion is a basic right that should be very important and should be offered to everyone, because in the end, being well and living in a well-being society means that we have the means and the environment to access our full potential. We don't really need a lot to do that. We just need a safe, healthy, and just environment in which we can grow and in which we can have access to education so that we can find our potential and give back to the society. So I really liked that answer.
And thank you very much, Dana. And I think that really resonated with the work that you were doing precisely with the declaration, with the, about the children's rights to be included in the questions that concern them. And it's nice how it's a shame we cannot put all the answers on the screen. It would be nice to read a bit more of them. It's also good to see that a lot of the answers were actually had a lot of similar themes, and we see here. So work-life balance, health, safety, and then financial stability. Interesting how financial stability, you would imagine, could be higher, but actually 19 people highlighted work-life balance. Freedom, environment. I think environment has as many votes as equality, and then community, education, and then there's some categorized responses. But it was wonderful to see the answers from the participants. So it was a wonderful exercise, and be sure that we will keep all the answers as part of the collective data that we are bringing together through this event. I hope you are getting a glimpse of some of other answers. And I think we can move to the next part of the Mentimeter. So the next question would be, so let's stay on this slide for a moment and just rest our eyes. We spoke about the now, the state of the now in your current life in the breakout rooms. Then just together a moment ago, we spoke about what is the vision of a good life and a good place to live. And now it's time to think, what can you do to actually get from now to your vision of the future? And for that, I asked Massimo kindly to bring the Mentimeter question so that participants can write it down. So I will let the participants answer the question. I'm just going to read how would you improve the quality of life in your town? In a few years, your actions will shape your life, your children's future, the community where you live, and possibly even your country. Describe one action you would take now to improve the quality of life where you live. Start your answer with, in the name of the village or town, I will. And maybe I will start with Hala, because I know she's already doing that, so it will be easy for her to answer that. So what is one action that you would do? So in your town?
Adopt a waste-free lifestyle.
Okay, adopt a waste-free lifestyle.
I know we will never get to 100% waste-free, but at least to achieve 50 or 60% in your household, in your day-to-day, use recycled material, reusable bags, avoid plastic, just to turn it into a lifestyle and not just something that you read in books or you hear in seminars and webinars.
Wonderful. And I think there's a supporting comment there. Massimo, could you scroll up a little bit? In Guadalajara, Mexico, I will participate in sustainable groups to create community that supports the environment as well. So I think you already have supporters here.
Amazing.
There's another answer. In Depok, I will give the scholarship and free courses for education to those who poor and who can't access education. I think maybe, Sophia, what will be your action? So in your town, what will you do?
Maybe, I mean, I was not born in Vienna. I was born in a smaller city in Germany. So maybe in that city, I would like to make decision-making more participatory, maybe, more engaging. through different councils, citizen councils. Yeah.
I think that's a difficult one because, unless you have a decision-making power at the political level, it will be a difficult action to take. So for our participants, could you give like a smaller scale version, like of what could be one step closer to achieving that?
Maybe some formats for communities to come together to exchange their opinions, maybe. So more like a free volunteering format or something like that.
All right, organized volunteering, from what I understood, that could be done. Indeed, we are doing that today. We're giving opportunities to people from very remote places through this UNV assignment that is supporting this virtual side event. Let's read some of the answers. So, improve the kindergartens, elementary school system, so there are more adults per the number of children. Education is the way, but not under pressure, and it needs time and energy to teach good habits. Okay, Dana, I think that is very much close to what you were sharing with us. So maybe what is one action you would take in your town to achieve the better life and better place to live?
I would also definitely try to do something very similar on the level of the local authorities and create a youth council that actually advises all the future actions that will be taken from the budget of youth for young people and children. And also I would improve the air quality. And I'm actually also doing that now because I'm working with a political deputy from my country, and we're asking my city to improve air quality because it's really, really polluted.
That is an incredibly inspiring action because, I mean, if I remember correctly, you said you were 24 now, right? Yes, so it's a person of 24 years old, which are many people in this audience, who is talking to the political actors in order to achieve better air quality. So it's not an illusion, it's not a fantasy. We can actually do that. And I think each woman represented today on the panel is an inspiring example. Whatever speaks to you, entrepreneurship or research or activism or political systems, take it, learn more about them, and try to maybe do something in your geography. Let's read some of the answers, more answers. So, I will take a scholarship to continue my study and then build a new expert business so I could participate to make growth in my region and Indonesia. That's very ambitious. I think, Hala, you're doing something like that. You built your business in Lebanon from scratch, where, I remember your story, there were not even recycling plants that were doing what you needed to do. So,
so Naveen and I we built our own machinery. We went around houses to collect their waste, and we did everything from scratch up until we started to get more engaged with communities. People actually started to work in recycling. That's how the community started to grow in Lebanon. But yeah, we did everything from the ground up. We built everything from the ground up.
Wonderful. And I see that there's one answer in all capitals that I saw that is all about the cleanup, actually. I'm not sure where it is, but it said that I will start here you go. I will help keep the town clean by joining and organizing simple cleanup activities. This can make a nicer and happier place to live. Yes,
Can I
Hala,
just
please.
add
Yes.
to that
Yes.
that step will be like a domino effect. When the community of the person who wrote this starts to see this type of action, automatically it will become a cultural thing and a lifestyle, and it won't be just something that they do once. So I salute whoever wrote this, and big support.
But I think all the actions are actually very inspiring.
Yes.
And maybe, Sophia, you can tell, I know you have a very hardcore research background. So do you maybe know already about domino effects of such actions? Like when one person in the community takes a step forward and, inspired others what consequences does it lead to?
For sure that is like that. But I don't really research on that, so I cannot.
Well, maybe some answer on the screen caught your attention that you would like to comment on.
I found it very interesting that there were quite a few on infrastructure and public transport. Yeah, increasing or making public transport better, which is of course also connected to sustainability. So yeah, I found that very useful and very interesting.
Well, I think that is true because we had the representative of Albania, and Albania is also where you and I met at an event of Charlemagne. And there, it's such a beautiful country, such beautiful landscapes. It's all kind of dreamy, but the roads you can count you can really count the number of large roads. I'm just going to give a short introduction to what is happening now. On your screen, you can see in the Mentimeter, you can see all the answers of all the participants. So please choose 3 actions that you like the most, that you could repeat in your own community. That's something that really inspired you. You're like, oh, I didn't think of it, I'll do it. So please take a moment to really read it. That's also how we can, honor every participant who actually submitted an answer. So, for example, well, actually, I'm not going to condition the voting. I don't know if Hala, Sophia, Dana, any of you have the Mentimeter open. And if not, maybe we can just discuss some of the things that you've seen that really surprised you, like some action.
Can I see? I was very proud to say that the environmental improvement was ranked number 1.
Oh, okay.
And to be honest, it's amazing to see that the shift in sustainability and the environment, climate change in general, is now increasing. This is the power of domino effect.
That is indeed wonderful. And I thank you, Massimo, for bringing the answers so that we can see. So the one from Mexico we already read. Okay, so in Nigeria, I will commit to helping one child in my community to embrace education better. That is actually also quite admirable because even starting with one person is sufficient to make a real difference. So Dana, maybe in your experiences, you've seen a child who initially joined your initiative and then had a different career or something out of it.
Actually, all children and young people who were part of our initiatives now are in very good professional positions. One of them obtained a scholarship at Harvard. For example, he's also from Romania, and he's now having a full scholarship at Harvard, studying social development and educational development, for example. And a lot of them are in different political organizations or NGOs, and they are thriving, they're pushing further their initiative that we started, that is child protection and youth participation in decision making. So everyone that was part of the children's board now is doing the same work, but at real higher levels in their own professional lives. And from what I saw from the answers, I could say that in my personal opinion and from the background and studies we did on children's well-being, is that number 1, of course, after having the environment, after having food security and so on, is education. Because the first 7 years of every single child are very important. And that's why also part of our declaration is the fact that we need to take care of this early education in every children's life, because it's very important. In those 7 years, the child acquires very important skills and also acquires the skills to take decision. And those skills will help him for the rest of his life. So early education, I would say, is the fundamental stone in every development for everyone.
Yes, thank you very much, Dana. Absolutely, that the first 7 years are truly forming, and I've seen a few answers about children as Massimo is scrolling down the answers that the participants have given, and changing the topic slightly to a different domain. I see one answer is, in Indonesia, I'm currently in effort to uplift the women in farming households, and I'm working by giving them chances to contribute in their household and hopefully improve their quality of life. I don't know, anybody wants to comment on the agricultural sector? I'm looking at Sophia because, maybe this is something anything, any domain maybe we didn't discuss, not just the answers, but, so what actions are also missing still that we have not discussed,
I saw one that was interesting. It was about giving children the possibility to learn different languages, I think, or something like that. So maybe this aspect of this, I don't know, intercultural connections, or like the possibility to maybe, get to know different cultures, I guess, also through learning languages, to being more connected with other cultures. Maybe that's also something, that we haven't talked about really, but which is also quite valuable.
and it adds to your previous point about cultural isolation, right? So do you know what ways that the young people can overcome it? So what ways can they be more intercultural? What ways they can be less isolated? Because I think it's a problem for a lot of youth in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess, learning languages is a good way. And I guess for example, if you are in maybe studying, I think there are more exchange opportunities and things like that. But I think it would probably be important to have also different exchange opportunities, or opportunities to get to know different people from different countries besides this university and studying context. That would maybe also be something that could be implemented.
Yeah, absolutely. And just think of where we met. So it was part of the Charlemagne extended community, Charlemagne Youth Prize. And also that's where we met with Dana. And, with Hala, I met during another nonprofit initiative, which was Lockdown Economy. I see a raised hand. I will give you the floor, but keep it short. Shan, please.
Thank you, Julia. I'm Shah from Afghanistan. One of the main domains we didn't talk about is the raising of technology. So what I am doing is I'm teaching technology, specifically software engineering or coding, to young children's school for grade of around 7 to 12th grade. So that's a good idea to do in any society, teaching coding and doing technology sort of things to young children, so they could be self-sufficient, doing freelancing jobs and having a sustainable and financial free burden for their life. So that's a main domain we can talk about as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we're short for time, so we're not going to be taking the more opinions from the floor now, but stay on because there will be opportunities to speak in a moment. To the point that Shah made about the technology and freelancing, indeed, if places are rural and the average age of population is quite high and there are not that many jobs other than in agriculture, it's important that they have a chance to work also otherwise in a remote way. So it is indeed very important. What you see on the screen is the results of the voting. So these are the, let's say, the top 3 actions. Let's stay on them for a moment. So the top one that everybody chose is create green spaces and parks, promoting cultural and educational activities. Those are wonderful things. However, what is your role, what your personal role? So when we take it to such a big scale as what's described here is, even though wonderfully important, it takes, we always need to think a little bit, what is our first step in that journey? So what will you personally do to have more green spaces and parks? Maybe your house has a, let's say, a garden space, and you will take more time to plant the plants there. Or you will host some children's activities in the park to keep them entertained. Or, you know, what is going to be your role in improving public transport, like it's written here, or supporting local, but, well, yes, you can take a bus instead of taking a taxi, not that I think many people have that. So it's wonderful, but, you know, always think in actions that is like, what is my step? What is my next step? Okay, and with this, I think, Massimo, could you please close the screen? I think people in Mentimeter will be able to still see the results. And we are slowly coming to the last 5 minutes of the event. It has flown by, honestly. In the Mentimeter, Massimo, could you please press on the next question so that the people can submit their feedback for the event? So it's a moment of reflection. In your Mentimeter, you have a question, and let's not bring it on the screen, but let's just keep it on Mentimeter. Okay, we're gonna do now a very short round of 1 minute closing. Yes, thank you very much. You see on the Mentimeter the main question, in the final question of the event. What is your key takeaway from today? What is your basically idea that came to you? What surprised you? What did you learn? And I think I have the same question to our speakers, but very shortly. So, Sophia, let's start with you.
Yeah, I found it very interesting, all the diverse opinions and ideas, and it seemed like everyone is really motivated to make a change and to do something, and so this really contributes to my opinion that people want to be engaged, the youth wants to be engaged, but in general citizens want to be engaged, but often don't have the possibility, or are only in a symbolic way engaged, but not truly in a purposeful way. And it was very interesting to see all the diverse answers.
Indeed, thank you very much, Sophia. Hala.
Sophia said, I completely agree, but it's also keeping people like us motivated. Like what we're doing is actually, we're seeing the change on ground. And with all the participants here today and everything that they spoke about, let it be something they want to do or something they're already doing. This is the first step to all the change that we're looking at. So I think it's given us motive to, even if it's just a small step forward, but it's a step forward nonetheless.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Hala. Dana, maybe you can also share a few words of, you know, what is your key takeaway from today's session?
My key takeaway is the fact that I'm actually very amazed and impressed by the high number of young people from all around the world that participated and are interested in advancing social development. And that really makes me really happy and hopeful, because sometimes I myself, I'm losing a bit of hope when seeing the international context we are all living. But this meetings like this ones are really giving me hope and inspiration that they're out there. There are so many people who are willing to do whatever it takes and whatever they can. Also, all the UN volunteers that are here. I'm very happy to see all of you taking time on a Friday to be here and share your interest and your passion for this topic and for making our world a better place.
Thank you very much, Dana. This was beautifully said. Indeed, I see lots of claps and lots of hearts sent to you and in support of the hope. Indeed, actually, all the panelists, and thank you so much for this, and the participants' opinions in the Mentimeter, in the chat, in voice, was extremely inspiring, and I am very grateful, and on behalf of Think Tank AlterContacts, I would like to thank you for joining us today for this side event to the Commission on Social Development. And unfortunately, it's come to an end. This was such a vibrant discussion. It was such a beautiful opportunity to hear all of you that, of course, we want to continue. And there are two news. So one, the official part of the event is complete. So the virtual side event is officially completed. The second part of the news is that we are going to stay on and do an informal networking. And this is maybe where you can have more time to speak with your fellow participants. So if you have time, please stay on. And we're going to do a few breakout rooms, but this is already an informal part. So thank you very much to all of you for attending the virtual side event dedicated to Beyond GDP and organized by Think Tank AlterContacts.